Good morning. How's everybody doing? It's 10:07 a.m. here in Los Angeles. I'm at the corner of Fairfax and Melrose. Just rolling. Nice beautiful day in LA. Loving the city. Been up since 6 o'clock this morning working. Part of one of the consequences of healthcare technology management is having to be there early in the morning. Healthcare takes place basically 24/7. So the video I made last night, yesterday, about semi-representational romantic realism got taken down because of nudity. So I imagine they were referring to the nudity depicted in my art. I think something being painted on a canvas, which is sitting on an easel, with an artist sitting next to it with paintbrushes, standing next to it with paintbrushes, does not constitute art. It constitutes pornography. And I think it was a ridiculous statement by a senator or a congressman. I think it was a senator years ago, like maybe 30 years ago, that when he was asked, how do you know pornography? He said, well, you know it when you see it. But I thought that the exception for the nude human form was in artistic expression. But now we seem to have socially regressed so far that even artistic expression of the nude form, of the nude female form in this case, is considered worthy of censorship or in violation of YouTube policies against nudity. These are strange days that we live in. And what is being tested are the limits of control, human control, the limits that humans have on being able to control other human beings. You know, it all really comes down to what they call the Great Reset or the Great Awakening, right? We are still in the Great Awakening. The Great Reset is not going to defeat the Great Awakening. We are awake, and we do understand that they are attempting the Great Reset so that they can maintain the control that they have through the zeitgeist fictitiously upon the planet. And they can only maintain their fiat currency control, for example. They can only maintain that illusion, right? That this paper money has value only because we agree that it has value. With other illusions. And since the power that they enjoy is what we call consensus of authority, then, like Chicken Little says, the sky is falling. And the sky is falling. Either the sky is falling in the form of environmental catastrophes, pending, inevitable environmental catastrophes that require some level of global governance that supersedes the national sovereignty that protects us and our grand, wonderful, free and wealthy, free and therefore wealthy way of living. And everybody is sick. Oh no. And of course there are murder hornets too. So we've got pestilence, as well as disease, right? And then, of course, famine can be caused. Famine can be caused by the same guy who is presently buying up all of the farmland specifically for that purpose, right? So we've got famine, pestilence, disease, right? And war. And war, which they give us all the time, because that's the reason they want to maintain power, so that they can continue to cause and wage war. You know, so that's all part of it. But we are still growing, and we all still, our awareness is not Pandora, cannot be put back into the box. The spread of information has triggered a rise in the consciousness, the level of consciousness of all of humanity. It has triggered a rise in the global bubble of shared information, for better or for worse, from the perspective of, individuals and groups and classes of people. But that has triggered a phenomenon, the birth of an exchange of ideas that has taken on a life of its own. And like I said, that genie is never going to be put back into the bottle. You can't put that genie back into the bottle. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unlearn what you've learned. And you can't unthink what you may think about. And you can't not consider all ideas that you may be exposed to. And that's very threatening. That's threatening to those who make their living off the ignorance of the masses, right? Because, the instant dissemination, global dissemination of information, true or not, just information, is very dangerous to those who maintain power through ignorance of others. The Founding Fathers knew this. The Founding Fathers knew this even when all we had was the printing press. And the internet is no different from the printing press. And just as there have been efforts to burn books in the past, there are efforts to squelch information, to squelch communication, and to squelch freedom and liberty and the expression of truth. And that's called censorship. And that's where we are right now. That's where we are right now. But just because we've voluntarily given popularity to the big tech websites like Yahoo and YouTube and Google and Facebook and Twitter and you name it, right? Instagram. Just because, we've decided to make them popular doesn't mean that we can't also decide in this ever-growing world to make other platforms popular. And just as these platforms exist in the good old American sense of competition, any company that is successful deserves some good old-fashioned competition. Now, if they've grown to such a level of oligarchy that they're able to actually fascistically enforce their monopolies through government manipulation, then that's an antitrust situation. We have to move forward with that as quickly as possible and as vigorously as possible. Okay, utilizing all of the might of the U.S. government that we can muster. But if it is still a free world and a free economy, then it is still a free world and a free economy in the digital realm as well. And so I fully expect that we, as free Americans especially, but as human beings, as free Americans, are ready to step forward and create competition for the Amazons and the YouTubes and the other platforms of the world. Remember, they only have power because we have decided to congregate and make them the most popular platforms. Uh, our minds can handle Coke and Pepsi, as well as, RC, Fanta, and Dr. Pepper, and 7 Up, and a number of other, beverages and drinks. And our minds can handle Burger King as well as McDonald's, as well as Jack in the Box and Carl's Jr. and Farmer Boys and all the rest of these other fast foods. So, you know, the attempt to wrestle control over the communication between human beings, okay, by big tech and those that are controlling the standard media, is futile, because it's inevitable that competition to all of these tech giants sprouts up. And right now, because of the political climate and the way these tech giants have utilized their power to influence, the election and politics toward their particular political slant, which is completely anti-American, completely antithetical to what the founding fathers had in mind. Producing such, competition has now become necessary. So, now some people understand that I have another channel, Black American Party, and on the Black American Party channel, we're going to be discussing opening up avenues for competition for Amazon and competition for YouTube and competition for Facebook and other social networks. But that's for another channel, so we're going to talk about that on those channels. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. We're just rolling down Wilshire Boulevard, crossing La Brea Avenue. You see there's a little construction going on here in LA. Just rolling. It is a beautiful day in LA, 70 degrees. Picture perfect weather. Picture perfect weather. So we're going to take care of this. Thank you for joining. Say something in the chat so I can know you're here. I hope the wind isn't too loud. Ferrari rolling up next to me. Love the sound of that engine. Check it out. My Lotus is the same color actually, but my Lotus is in storage and I've got a cellar. I don't have the money to start pouring into that car, but I miss driving my Lotus. That's a sweet car. In LA style. Doing it LA style. I understand, I can feel it. Exotic cars in Los Angeles go together. Not hating, congratulate. I just have to get another convertible. I'm ready for a bigger convertible. It's a shame that Cadillac no longer makes a convertible. But we've given fame that was unwanted, at least rappers have given undue or unwanted popularity or publicity to liquor companies and all kind of brands, fashion companies and automobile manufacturers, all types of brands. And the minute Cadillac knows that the minute they return with any type of convertible, it would immediately be the car of choice in the rap videos. We had that little teaser on the show Entourage, and everybody's just waiting for that car to come out. It's going to be all over, especially here in LA. I can't say I won't buy one myself, to be honest with you. A nice 4-door, open-top convertible Cadillac, absolutely. Everybody loves America, but nobody seems to love Americans. Because if they loved Americans, all of these auto manufacturers would make an open-top convertible, like Audi and a few others. But we can't hate on them because not all of our American cars are convertibles now. So maybe it's because we've become such a litigious society that they don't want to be sued by the families of idiots who roll their car with no roof. I don't know. I would love to get a Jeep, but in my understanding, Jeep has compromised interior space for style. I like the fenders on a Jeep. I'm right next to a Jeep right now. But in order to make the fenders stick out, they had to make the body a little bit narrower. So I wouldn't want to sit in the car that is any less roomy than the one I'm sitting in right now. I want to thank you guys for making purchases on BiomedRxCBD.com. BiomedRxCBD is gluten-free, glyphosate-free, homogenized. It is organic, grown here in